What is up, guys? Rick Kackis here. Thank you so much for stopping by, and today, it's actually the second last day of 2019. And so today and tomorrow, I thought it would be fun to look at what happened in 2019 for Destiny 2, splitting it up into two parts. Today, we are going to be taking a look at the 5 best things to happen all year for Destiny 2, the additions and decisions that really turn the game into a positive force. But tomorrow we are going to be looking at the 5 worst things to happen in Destiny 2 for 2019. So if you think I'm being too cheerful in this video, wait for tomorrow. And if you think I'm being a hater in tomorrow's video, remember to watch today's. And so let's get started. And at number 5, we have the addition of cross-save. This is undoubtedly a big deal, and it's something that has really personally impacted me. I was dedicated to the PlayStation 4. That's what I would play on all the time. I did raids with. I actually got World's First on console twice, but no one cares about that. So it was a huge part of how I played the game. And with cross-save, I've pretty much migrated to PC, and I know some of the console players are going to be sad to hear it, but you can't say no to 120 frames per second and way faster load times and no recoil on your guns. There's a whole bunch of factors that go into making the PC version arguably the superior version. I don't want to start this onto a whole, console versus PC thing, but it really did impact everyone positively in the sense that you now get to play with your friends no matter which platform they're on. There was a lot of people I wanted to play with on PC, and now I can. And I've also hopped back on PS4 a few times to play with my friends still there. The option to do that is such a positive thing, and it's really, really fantastic. And also, it's nice not having to start your character over if you do end up switching platforms. Being able to have your character and all of your exploits tracked no matter where you're playing on is so sweet. And this is especially important this year going into 2020 with the new consoles coming out, the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5. Could you imagine if you had to start your character all over again if you got an Xbox Series X, for example? But with cross-save, we know that your character will migrate perfectly onto those new platforms, and that's another piece of great news, and that's why this comes in at number 5. But it's time to move on to the number 4 best thing to happen to Destiny 2 this year, and that was the Outbreak Perfected Quest. Oh my goodness, the Outbreak Quest is everything that's right and good with Destiny. Both the Outbreak Perfected Quest and its predecessor, the Whisper of the Worm Quest, were just the absolute pinnacle of what you can do to surprise the player base and to introduce something new to the game. They pretty much came out of nowhere except for, channels that do 45 speculation videos on them, but aside from that, they kind of showed up. Everyone's hyped. You don't exactly know when they're going to drop. They are actually pretty substantial and have a huge amount of content behind them. Both the Whisper and the Outbreak quest had entire dungeons almost that were required to go through and get this weapon, and both incorporated the fact that you would go back into this new area. It wasn't like a one and done thing. You would go back in for several weeks to do secrets and so on in order to get the exotic catalyst for these weapons. So it wasn't just making all of this content and throwing it away in a one and done thing. It was a smart way to reincorporate this content as you're trying to upgrade the exotic weapon you just got. And just how good that quest was really, really shows the potential of Destiny 2. And I really hope we see another version of that style of quest that just comes out of nowhere. It has its own secret area, all of that stuff in 2020. There's a lot of unbelievably powerful weapons, the Hawkmoon, potentially the Galahorn, the Vex Mythoclast, who knows, that Bungie could reintroduce in this way. And it just gets the community so hyped when it's like you wake up one day and there's this crazy new exotic quest that just dropped. However, it is time to move on to number 3, and that is this year with 2019, we got 2 different sets of brand new weapon perks. First time it happened with Season of the Drifter, and we got stuff like multi-kill clip, stuff like overflow, swashbuckler, firing line, full court, unbelievably good perks. That was probably the best feature of this perk set drop. All of them were actually quite powerful, and all of them are still impacting weapon rolls today. The Steel Feather Repeater Auto Rifle, the fact that it can get Feeding Frenzy and multi-kill clip, that's already such a desirable weapon, and it was introduced basically at the polar opposites of the year. The perk was introduced at the beginning of the year, and finally an auto rifle that can take advantage of that perk was introduced, in December, and you're still seeing that weapon be super desirable, people wanting to go for it because of that perk slot. And not only that, we got another set of brand new perks with Season of Dawn. Stuff like Vorpal Weapon is actually making a pretty big difference. Unfortunately, I don't think this set of perks is as powerful as Season of the Drifters set, but still we are seeing a reverberation of these new perks introduced, and it's absolutely required when it comes to spicing up the gun system. If you just have the same archetypes with the same perks, things get stale super fast. And we were lucky enough this year to have 2 different drops of new perks, and it really, really did help. And this is a trend that Bungie absolutely needs to keep up because it's so helpful for the longevity of the game. But I think potentially another thing they should be looking at is a balancing pass of the perks. There's a lot of perks that are simply lackluster and could use some extra abilities or some spice, because if you bring those up, it's basically just as good as adding a whole new set of perks. But regardless, we were pretty spoiled in 2019 with all of these new weapon perks because 2018 didn't add anywhere near as much, and hopefully 2020 keeps up this trend. But moving on from there, at number 2, we have Season of Opulence. Kind of weird here because, Shadowkeep was undoubtedly the bigger, more content-rich expansion, but my god, Season of Opulence just did everything right. Keep in mind that while Shadowkeep was $30, Season of Opulence was technically $10. It was the 3rd expansion for a $30 in total package, so you couldn't actually pay just $10 for it, but if you broke it up, it was $10. That's a whole nother argument, but the point is, for a substantially lower price, it offered so much. The addition of Menagerie was a huge deal. Before then, Bungie had been extremely reluctant to add non-raid, non-PvP 6-player activities. We were asking for, hey, why can't you do 6-player strikes? Why can't you do other things with 6 players? And until Menagerie, Bungie really just kind of ignored us. And since Menagerie, and it's been such a fantastic success, not only incorporating 6 players, but also having the chalice behind it, this mechanism that let us pick our loot. We're seeing both of those great successes continuing forward with the next expansions. With Shadowkeep and Season of the Undying, Vex Offensive, 6 players. Coincidence? I think not. Also, you can potentially choose your loot by going and getting the bounties specific to certain weapons. And again, that's not a coincidence. It was a lesson learned from how good Menagerie was. This season, Season of Dawn, same exact thing with Sundial. 6-player cooperative activity, fun thing to do, and you can specifically choose your loot. Those 2 lessons were really important. They came from the Menagerie, and they're going to influence the rest of Destiny 2. That's how important Season of Opulence was. It did things that will impact Destiny 2 going forward until the end of time. But it wasn't just the Menagerie. The weapons itself, Austringer, Imperial Decree Shotgun, all of those things were great. The beloved Sniper Rifle, there was some extremely meta-warping weapons that people really want to go after. Not only that, we got a raid with the Crown of Sorrow, and that was a pretty fun experience as well. And right on the heels of Season of Opulence, Bungie announced themselves going independent, and the future of Destiny was kind of revealed. So we had all these positive things happening at once. Season of Opulence was really like the turning point of Destiny 2, where everyone kind of finally went, yup, this game's for sure good again. And the proof is that at that time, Destiny 2 had as many concurrent players as it's seen since launch, so the game was really picking back up. However, moving on from there, and speaking of the game picking up, the biggest and best thing to happen in 2019 was, at number 1, Destiny 2 going free to play. Destiny 2 New Light has done wonders for the community. Destiny 2 came out on Steam and it's been one of the top 5 games there ever since. That's insane. You're competing with things like, CSGO and just absolutely titans of industry that have been on Steam for a very, very long time. The fact that Destiny 2 is up there with those big boys and has some of the best concurrent player numbers is testament to how well Bungie's decision to do all of these things I mentioned in the top 5 list, but I think number 1 is to make it go free to play. There is no barrier to entry anymore. Your friend who's like, I don't know, they have no excuse now. You say, hey, it's free, get on in here, come play with me. There is some complaints coming out of the free-to-play version that it's a little overwhelming and complicated and players don't exactly know what to do, but I mean, that's just because there's so much content thrown at them. It's like, hey, what do you want to do? Forges, Menagerie, you got 3 different campaigns, you got exotic quests you could go for, you got so much stuff to do. There's PvP, there's all this different things you can do, and the fact that that's so true, it's causing a little bit of problems. I mean, that is a really sweet thing. In addition, one of the genuinely most brilliant things that Bungie did was make kind of the pillar activities of Destiny 2, strikes, Gambit, PvP, all of the destinations available on the free-to-play version. So if you have all the expansions, you've paid for everything, and your friend just started the game, you can still play those main activities with them. You can get access to all the PvP maps and all the different strikes. That's why the free version gets access to all the different areas, is because they're not excluded from the strikes and Gambit maps and PvP maps that take place on those areas. And it solved one of the biggest problems of, a game going free to play, or not only that, but a game continuously having paid DLC, which is the breakup of the player base. If you guys remember from old Call of Duties especially, right? If you had one DLC and you didn't buy the second one, you'd only match with the small amount of players that just bought the same DLCs as you because they had to matchmake on the same maps as you, right? So you'd be a player base of 100,000 people, but you'd only match with 2,000 of them because you had a weird number of DLCs, and it was just a terrible idea. The free-to-play version of Destiny 2 solves this idea very intelligently. And with most free-to-play games, things are just going to get better. And whenever hype builds for Destiny 2, like for example, if and when Trials of Osiris or potentially Saint 14 or whenever the next Trials comes back and the community is hyped out of their mind, you're probably going to see a big influx of new players paying attention. Hey, what's Trials? 3v3 elimination, 7 wins in a row? That sounds kind of crazy. I want to try that out. Like, you're going to see this game really grow because of that free-to-play offering. And so guys, that is it for the 5 best things to happen to Destiny 2 in 2019. What did you think? Did I miss anything? Did I overvalue anything? Let me know in the comment section. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 videos similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at @RickKackis. That's linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.